Now, magnetic is basically a regular computer hard drive. Not that you necessarily need to know this, but the way those typically look, it's a bunch of little platters, one on top of another, stacked like pancakes. They're covered in what's usually a shiny magnetic coating, and there's a little spindle that reads them. And the way it actually stores data is it punches in positive and negative magnetic energy to record the data. All data is actually reduced to ones and zeros, binary code. I'll go into that in a second too. Next you have optical drives. That would be a CD or DVD. It's a disk. Reads the exact same information differently. Last you have a solid state or flash drive. If you're holding a phone, you have an iPad, you've got solid state flash drive. Those little thumb drives, same thing. Why can all these things communicate? Because all data is reduced to basically ones and zeros. You've probably seen representations of this, lines and lines of ones and zeros. That's what's called binary code. It's literally an on-off switch. The smallest readable amount of that is 8 of them in a row. That's called a byte, B-Y-T-E. Every single 0 and 1 is called a bit. Now, the byte being the smallest amount, it's not a lot there. It's maybe a number, letter, teeny word or two, not much. Depends on the program and how it's being used. But these things build up pretty quickly. When you get about 1,000 of them, you have a kilobyte. You have about 1,000 of those, you have a megabyte. And when you have about 1,000 of those, you have a gigabyte, which you may have heard of. Of course, that's nice, you have numbers, but it doesn't tell you exactly what does that equate to. Okay, a gigabyte depends a great deal upon what you've got on there. If you've got films, if you've got pictures, if you've got audio files, depends on how high quality they are. One thing that might give you an idea is sort of a benchmark standard, a conservative one. 1 gigabyte is about 75,000 pages of text. So try and get a feeling, what's that like in real terms? I went with a friend of mine to an electronics store a couple of weeks ago, get a laptop. Most of them there had about 600 gig hard drives. That's 45 million pages in one laptop. That's an insane amount of information to go through. This is one reason you need a computer forensics expert, just because they can cut through all of this. Now, we talked a bit about metadata earlier. Hopefully that was crystal clear, because that is a very important concept. Create, access, modify. These are the things you want left alone to make sure your electronic evidence is safe and can be used later. So, what is computer forensics? So, I wrote this definition out. I hope it's helpful. It's computer forensics, also known as digital forensics or IT forensics, is the science of identifying, acquiring, and preserving potential evidence stored within various forms of electronic media. And I see that didn't make a lot of sense necessarily. So, first off, what is electronic media? Electronic media is a Kindle. Static media is the opposite. It's the actual book you're reading. So static media doesn't require power. It's newspapers, magazines, books, anything you don't have to charge. Anything you do have to charge is electronic media. That means your computers, your laptops, your phones, your tablets, your GPS, your camera. And yeah, all these things hold information that's discoverable.